Okay, this is a very big day. I'm here at Tea with Jules and I'm going to be talking with Australia's Editor-in-Chief of Harpers BAZAAR, Kellie Hush. She is a big deal in the fashion industry, so fingers crossed that I know all my fashiony things and we can have a good chat, but she's absolutely lovely and I'm so excited to talk to her today. Kellie Hush, thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you here today. I keep saying how nervous I am. I don't know what it is about fashion
really
editors.
Scary.
Yeah, you seem really scary. No, you're actually not scary at all. You're lovely. But you are the Australian Editor-in-Chief of Harpers BAZAAR magazine.
That's correct. Today I am.
Yes, which is a big deal. It is a huge deal. It's one of the most iconic magazines in this country and we look to that for our fashion guidance. So you are the helm. You are the person that is telling us what to do and what to wear. No, you're amazing, but I appreciate you being here today. Can we start at the beginning and just take us back a little bit on where you grew up and how the journey of how you got to be here today?
I grew up in Canberra.
Yes.
So, yeah, I got out of there as soon as I could at 21.
Yeah.
But my career, I always wanted to work in television. Great today, but back then wasn't great as I looked like a baby. And so it was very hard to get a job in television news
right.
when you looked about 12.
Yeah, right.
So I knew straight away that wasn't going to work. So that's when I moved to Sydney wanting a job in print journalism. So from there it was kind of Practical Parenting magazine, a bridal magazine, and then I got my first big job, which is at Who Weekly.
Yep.
And that kind of was really the foundation stone to my career. I learned how to be a really good journalist there, a fast journalist, a thorough journalist. And from there I went to InStyle magazine. My first job at Harpers BAZAAR was actually after in that period. And then I left, went to the Sydney Morning Herald for 5 years, which was an incredible learning curve because I went from kind of being with a bunch of young, cool people to some really influential, powerful journalists, and I learned a lot from them.
Yeah.
It was probably the most poignant part of my career. And then from there, Grazia magazine very briefly, and then the job at Harpers BAZAAR.
Oh no, the phone's ringing.
Oh, no.
Hello, is that Harper's calling?
It's my staff, so sorry. Can you just tell them I'll be back in about an hour?
She's having tea, guys. Leave her alone.
Busy.
Okay, great. Wow. So, and did you study journalism in Canberra?
I did. At the University of Canberra, I did a degree in journalism. So yeah, I always knew it was what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was quite focused.
And did you have Editor-in-Chief in mind when you were going through these steps, or were you just sort of happy to be learning and climbing the ladder?
I won't deny I've always been really ambitious. I've always wanted to be an editor-in-chief, and when I got the job at Grazia as editor-in-chief, I thought that was it. That was my opportunity. I never thought I'd be editor-in-chief of Harpers BAZAAR.
Yeah.
These kind of jobs don't come up very often. You basically have to push someone out of those jobs.
Yeah.
So when it did happen, I wasn't expecting it. It was a nerve-wracking time because when probably what I would call a career fantasy actually came true, it was intimidating, and when I actually started the job, it was really chaotic. So intimidating, chaotic, and also my dream job. So I had to kind of work with all of those emotions at one time and build a new team and get a magazine out. So it was stressful.
So what happens on that first day? It's like the first day of school when you wake up and you're like, okay, this is the moment to sink or swim. I'm going to the office to be the boss. What is happening inside of you on that day?
I was nervous, and I didn't even get to go to bed because I basically told my staff at Grazia and I walked up the street and started at BAZAAR because it was the same company, and they were like, we need you to start immediately.
Wow.
So
Okay.
I didn't even get to sleep on it.
That's really a good thing.
Yeah.
Just jump straight in.
Yeah, I mean, I was lucky enough that, the Australian media industry is quite small, so I did know a lot of the people that worked on BAZAAR, so that was comforting. It was more the intimidation of the big job I had to do because the magazine, with every magazine or every job, you want to have your mark, you want to change things. So I knew I had to do it quite quickly. You can't do things slowly in the media. And I think it was also a very high-profile job, so I knew everyone was watching, which you kind of have to block out because you have to do it your own way. If you listen to all the noise, and I think that was one of the most overwhelming things, was the noise, everyone telling me who I should hire, what I should do, and you have to just be confident that you're hired for a reason, and that reason is because I knew what I was doing and I had a vision.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you've done a great job.
Oh, thank you.
So let's talk about being the boss and being a woman in charge. Do you feel like there's a difference between being a man in charge, being a woman in charge, and what are some things that make a good leader?
If I have that voice in my head that's saying, what would a man do? And I immediately go, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. And I really do listen to that voice. I think especially now, I think it's that I have to do things my way. And I will quite often think, I'm not going to say that because I'm a woman. I'm just going to say what I think. And I'm very aware of that. I think as a leader, I'm very decisive. I think it does maybe drive my staff a little bit mad in that it's like, no, this is what we're doing and off we go. But I think to be a good leader today, you have to be able to listen to your staff, build a great team, because especially in my kind of creative field, I don't have all the best ideas. And I think if you have a really great, strong team, then you will put out, an amazing magazine. People will take notice of what you're doing. If it was just purely my vision, we might end up with, the same clothes every month.
Right.
So, and I have to listen to my staff. They are my water cooler. There are times where I say, no, that's not quite right, because I'm also the brand guardian of Bazaar. That's my job, to ensure that magazine is protected and that it is Harpers BAZAAR. It's not Cosmo. It's it's not Marie Claire. It's Harpers BAZAAR. So that is my job. But I would say that I'm quite assertive. I'm not if I put me in a room with a man, I'm not intimidated at all, which is not great for my CFO. But
you're calling the shots here. What would you say would be one of the biggest misconceptions about being the editor-in-chief?
That it's glamorous.
Right.
It's a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
We put a lot of hard work into what we do. I think, yes, there's absolutely a glamorous side of it. I get to do the most incredible things. I get to travel. I get to go to fashion shows all over the world. But the nuts and bolts of the job aren't glamorous. I'm at my desk. I'm editing copy. I'm assigning copy. I'm chasing down people for things. We're pre-planning, 6 months in advance. I'm fighting for a cover star over one of my competitors. Yeah. It gets a bit down and dirty. So, yes, glamorous, tiny bit, hard work most of the time.
Yeah. Let's talk about being a working mum. You have 2 kids. You have 2 girls. How old are they?
They're 12 and 9.
It's the million-dollar question, being a working mum, trying to raise kids in this crazy world, keep them on the straight and narrow. You're literally trying to do everything all at the same time. Give us your pearl of wisdom.
My pearl of wisdom is, I think, what a lot of working women say, you can't have it perfect. Things are going to fall to pieces. There's going to be chaos. Yeah. I try to work really hard from Monday to Friday lunchtime, and then kind of Friday afternoon I pick my children up from school, and then it's their time. And I'm really focused on that. Yeah. So I might not be home during the week. I might not get home for dinner that entire week. But come, 3 o'clock on Friday, I'm there, and I'm being a mother. I think, a lot of professional women that have built businesses, when I chat to them, they've had nannies, and I think they're very open about, having help. I've had help after school just because I can't get to, school pickup every day of the week. Either can my husband. So I think you have to be honest how you do it. You don't do it all by yourself. Yeah, I haven't cleaned a house in 10 years, so... I've been known to take my washing to the laundromat, until my husband said, can we stop spending $100 a weekend on the washing? So it's things like that, to be honest, sometimes I'm superwoman, but other times it's just like, I can't do all of this. I think I need to just either be a stay-at-home mum, or you need to be a stay-at-home dad so that we can function properly. Yeah.
Do you suffer from mother's guilt?
I put my first child into long daycare when she was 6 months old. I went back to work, and that was really, really tough. And that's actually when I made a big career move at that point in time, because I was at Harpers BAZAAR and I was working really long hours. I had this little baby, and I just couldn't do it. Emotionally, I couldn't do it. I was a wreck. I needed to be with her more, and so I made a decision to go to the Sydney Morning Herald and to work 4 days a week with much more, I suppose, civilised hours where I could drop her off at daycare and pick her up. So that actually made me a happier person.
Yeah.
So I think there are times, and I say this quite often, there are times to put your accelerator on with your career, and then there are times where you just got to take it off for a little bit, and it's about your happiness as well as your children, and, you know, also marriage, right?
Yes.
Like, you know,
that
so
as well.
I've got to think about a husband as well.
No, it's true. That's such a good way to put it. We're complex creatures, aren't we, us
Oh,
girls?
no, I'm very simple.
Are you?
No. I don't think anyone would say that I'm easy. I'm not easy. I don't think anyone's ever called me easy.
Do you think that makes you good at your job, having all these layers and facets and complications?
You know, lots of people ask me what makes me good at what I do. But I think that is, I think a lot. I'm quite critical. And I'm not easy, so I'll push as well. I'm not relaxed about things. I think when you get relaxed, and, you know, not that being relaxed is lazy, but, you know, when you just kind of like, oh, whatever. You know, I think in creative fields and competitive fields, because the media is incredibly competitive, you have to have fire in your belly and, you know, want to fight, and I'll fight, you know. You know, I'll fight for, I love a fight, a professional fight. I'm very competitive, so, you know, and I think that makes me good at what I do.
Yeah. Let's talk about style for a little bit, because, you know, we love that. Do you think people are born with style, or do you think it's something that can be learned over time?
I mean, you can hire someone to make you look amazing. I have no problem with that, I think, but... You know, you meet girls who are wearing a $20 outfit and look incredible, and then you meet someone who's wearing a $10,000 outfit and look terrible, right?
It's true.
So
it's true.
I talk a lot about fashion and how it, you know, it represents a time in history. It represents who you are. It, you know, some people see it as a uniform or a costume, or an armour, but I really see it as a representation, extension of your personality. And I love getting dressed. You know, even on the weekend, I love getting dressed, and, you know, I love clothing. I'm not embarrassed to say it. It makes me feel good. You know, I have a policy, because I do have a lot of clothes. If I put it on, it doesn't make me feel good, it's out the door. Because I really think that when you put your clothes on in the morning, you need to feel unreal. I do think style is innate. It's, you know, it's a natural thing. And, you know, it's not just a girl thing either. I mean, you see guys who are, you know, so cool, right? And they're just playing with trousers and, you know, a T-shirt, but, you know, it's the way they do their hair, it's the way the T-shirt's hanging, it's wearing, you know, rolling their pants up. You know, I love a guy that cares about their style.
Yeah, same. What do you do with all your clothes once they're kind of done with?
I have a couple of really lucky friends who are the same size of me, who you know, I'll put it all on the bed and they can come over and pick and choose what they like. A lot of it goes into the charity bin as well. You know, things like handbags I keep in storage, and some really special pieces I keep in storage. Having two girls, they're not interested in fashion at the moment, but hopefully one day, you know, and they're iconic pieces that, you know, I've taken care of, that I'll you know, put in storage. You
know, we love fashion. I can talk about clothes and shoes and bags until I'm dead. And some people would probably view that as maybe something quite shallow, superficial, that's like, who cares about it? So what would you say to someone who would say, oh, fashion?
Listen, it's happened to me lots of times. It usually happens to me when I'm flying to Melbourne on a plane. I'll be seated next to a businessman who wants to have a chat, and, you know, inevitably it gets on, what do you do? And he'll do that giggle. I can remember having this one guy once. I was flying down to Melbourne Cup, and he was on his way too, and I think he LOL'd, laughed out loud, and I was just like, I turned around to him immediately and said, okay, I run a $10 million business. I have 15 direct reports. I have people all over the world that contribute to my business. You know, I have commercial partners all over the world, and I kept just layering and layering and layering. And, you know, the reality is the fashion industry is a, you know, multi-billion-dollar industry. It employs lots of people. You know, we export fashion to the world. It represents our culture. I mean, I can go on for days. I have every argument there is. And I think I love educating people. And I love when people go, oh, actually, new level of respect. Totally understand that.
Has there ever been a moment, I'm sure there's been plenty, because, you know, you can't run a ship this big and not feel a tiny bit stressed out sometimes. But has there ever been one of those moments where you were just like, I'm on the edge here. This is a challenge. This is a big one. I don't know how to handle this.
Yeah, I mean, there's been lots of times like that. Probably the most significant was when I became editor, because a lot of the staff left because, a bit of background, the former editor of Bazaar became the editor of Vogue, and then I came in and most of her loyal staff went with her. So I was left with no staff, no content, and still magazines to put out, and it was really stressful. And I did at the time think, what have I gotten myself into?
You guys have obviously gone into the online space as well because life, that's just where we're all headed. So you've got print, you've got online, which is a beast in itself.
A hungry beast.
You're across that as well.
Yeah, I think digital is totally different to the magazine. I mean, we're lucky in the sense that our online audience is different to our magazine audience, so there's not a lot of cannibalisation. Yeah. So the content online is much younger. It's, it's faster. It's, more fashion tabloid than what I'd publish in the magazine. Yeah. So you can be a little bit lighter, a bit more fun online than you can we can be fun in the magazine, but we tend to be a little bit more serious fashion. But online is, it's things like the Kardashians, unfortunately. Love them or loathe them, they trend. So there's probably way more Kardashian content on the website than there will ever be in the magazine. But, that's what the reader wants. We can see from traffic. They love to see what Kim's wearing.
Oh, yeah. Clickbait.
I know, right? I don't get it. But the great thing for us is Meghan Markle is the new Kim Kardashian. So.
Oh, really? Meghan Markle's the new Kim Kardashian. Okay.
So Kate Middleton, Kate and Meghan have saved me.
And they're classy girls.
They are. It's a great story.
They're beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. What a fairy tale.
Oh, imagine getting those two for a cover.
Yes.
Yes.
Can you do it?
No. I've already reached out to my colleague in the UK and she laughed at me. She's like, line up.
Yeah, I'm sure. Wow. Yeah. That would be a bestseller.
Yeah.
That would be a bestseller.
Yeah.
Kellie, this has been lovely. I think our tea's gone cold, but it's been
too much
lovely.
talking.
It's been so nice to talk to you. Thanks for sharing all your fun facts.
Pleasure. Probably too much information.
No. I feel like I'm going to dress better for my school pickups. I'm going to check for porridge. I'm going to
you have the argument for the fashion industry now too.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to have all those
send you the
points.
5 points.
Thank you. Thank you very much. But I appreciate you coming and joining me for some tea.
Thank you.
Thank you.